This mountain has what I would call one of the most unique views from a mountaintop in the whole of Australia. It's up there, straight up the bush. There's no tracks, no trails, and I never get sick of coming up here and seeing these views. So I've just come up to our first main prominent point for this mission. It's this awesome big flat rock slab with a waterfall that cascades down and out to these awesome views. So basically, since we left that rock platform spot, all we're doing is just following this creek up for probably a couple of 100 meters or so, and then we're going to branch off the creek and head straight through the bush and start heading up a ridge line that will follow all the way up to the top. We've just branched off the creek and now we're heading straight into the thick of it. This first part where we move through the bush here before we get up onto the ridge, it's thick as hell. Before we left the creek, we filled up with about 2 liters of water just to get us through until about 3/4 of the way up the mountain. There's another water source that we know of up there we found last time. And then that'll be our final fill up point before the last push right up to the top of the mountain. You just fall into it. As far as off-track missions go, this mountain is actually relatively cruisy because it's all nice and open. You've just got to work your way up all this low vegetation. But the thing that makes it actually hard is these heavier overnight packs on. And even though we're only doing one night, so the packs aren't too heavy, we've still got to carry all that extra gear that you wouldn't have on a day trip. Plus 7 liters of water once we fill up near the top. It's these kinds of hard grinding physical efforts that make you more resilient when you go back to day-to-day life. You need a certain level of physical fitness just to be able to do it. But then once you got that, if you don't have that mental capacity, put your head down, ass up, and just keep going one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, keep grinding, keep working, then you're not going to get up there. We've worked our way up onto the ridge, and now these incredible views are starting to expose themselves and break out from the tree line, because the further we go up this ridge, the more open, the more clear it gets, the cooler the temperatures get, the more breeze we get, the better the views. And we've just got to keep following this ridge and gradually going up this incline for a good few hours. I'll tell you now, there is nothing like the simple things in life. Climbing up a mountain with some sick ass views and just eating some snacks. We've got another cool little rock formation up here. We've named it Pac-Man Rock. Huge boulder balancing on top of an even bigger boulder in the shape of a Pac-Man type head. We've now reached that point up on the mountain where we're going to go down and collect our water that we're going to take up to the top. Oh, good. That water, that's as fresh and as clean as it gets for a little stream running off the mountain. I've been here late in the dry season and there's been just as much flow then as there has straight after the wet season, so that tells you that this is a permanent water source that's most likely fed from some sort of a spring up on the mountain here above it.
I was meant to have I did originally have a cap for it, but on the last 2 missions I've just lost the cap, so this was my last minute dodgy, I really don't give a shit, to get me some more water. So I've just got a couple plastic bags stuffed in there, and just like that, you got yourself a new cap, Joe.
Bit dodgy, but it does the job, eh?
That's it.
Now we just got the slog of scrambling back out of this steep valley that we collected the water down in, and I've got 7.5 kilos worth of water in one hand, which might not sound like a lot of weight, but look at how I'm carrying it. It's just all flopping around. And I got the GoPro in the other hand. We haven't got that far to go now, or that much elevation to gain, but I do have an extra 7 liters, which is an extra 7 kilos of weight on the back now. Now we're right up here. This really showcases why this mountain has what I would call one of the most unique views from a mountaintop in the whole of Australia. It's up there, easily top 5. You'd easily put this in the top 5. When you look out to these creek systems on the ground down below us here, it literally looks like someone's painted it. It's that picture perfect and aesthetic looking. It's absolutely amazing. And I've climbed this mountain nearly a handful of times now, and I never get sick of coming up here and seeing these views. Alrighty, so we finally settled on a spot to set up the tents. We found a couple of little flattish natural clearings up on the mountain here. Those kind of spots are very rare to find when you're up on places like this. It's got a lot of thick ground vegetation, but we managed to find a couple. We're going to set up the tent now. It's about 10 to 5, so we've got like 20-ish minutes to get this tent up, and then head back to a spot to shoot sunrise. I think all this cloud has a lot of potential to light up, so I'm getting keen to see what happens with that. Alright, we've got the tent set up. My tent pole ended up breaking on me, so things took a little bit longer, and we're on the maddest race to get back to this rock to shoot for sunset. Alrighty, it's 6:15. It's the next day. We've got a beautiful, crisp and cold morning. And right now we're just doing about a 5 to 10 minute walk over to another rock that we think might be good for some sunrise shots. The light is just absolute magic, and usually the light's only primed for like a 15-minute window where the light's just at its best, but it was at its best for like a solid half an hour this morning. It was absolutely insane. And now we're just going to chill on this rock, have breakfast here, soak up the last bit of this warm morning light before we go back to camp, pack up and then head down the mountain. It's a shame that we only have one night this weekend, because it sucks climbing up the mountain one day and then going back down the next, but I'd still rather be up here doing this, even if it means that we've got to do it that way. Time is about 20 past 11. We've got the camps packed up, and now it's time to head down the mountain. And with that said, catch you in the next one.
Woo!